Welcome right back. So, straight ahead, my first guest, as usual, Dr. Idausa Osamanze. Welcome to the show this morning.
Ikena, good Nigeria.
Is it me, good Nigeria, or is it good Nigeria
Good
too?
Nigeria, Lagos.
And good Nigeria
Good Nigeria, Africa.
and to the world too.
Good Nigeria.
Yes, I like the excitement. My other unusual guest, Chooks John Rogers. You know him.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Africa. And Ikena, good morning.
I don't want it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All the same.
So on to straight to the business of the day. So we're looking at business day first. Week Naira rising inflation signal further rate hike. Week Naira inflation further rate hike. Why is it news this morning? Because it's been like this for a while.
Yeah, I think it's very important because MPC is also warming up for another meeting and for the second quarter meeting. People are also expecting, like it is the trend globally, once the monetary policy of any nation is meeting, business people, civil society organizations, everybody seems to be on edge. What new decision is going to be taken, and this is really very important because the policy posture of the committee definitely will affect the way business is run. So, yes, it makes headline. But I think the members of the NPC in Nigeria at this moment should really be very careful in terms of analyzing the root cause of our problem. Raising further interest rate will not do Nigeria any good. It will worsen the situation. We must stop this, what they call it, these Western economies in terms of looking at our affairs. How do you think that you have a weak Naira? Why are you having weak Naira? You have weak Naira because there's no production going on. People don't have capital to invest. Now, we have to import almost everything we consume here. And we are saying, oh, we need production so that there'll be no pressure on foreign exchange. And then you are thinking of increasing rate so that it will become more difficult for people to borrow. So how would that help production? How would that help productivity? If there's anything that those who manage our monetary policy should be having in their heart right now, and the only way to deal with these things we're talking about, inflation, because our inflation are imported. It's not generated locally. So what happened at the exchange market determines the price at which people are buying. So our inflation is not because there are just few goods and there's so much money in the economy. Our inflation is a reflection of the exchange rate. Now that it's floating, is even worse off. So what these guys need to understand is that there's not too much money in our economy. So raising rates at this point is not a solution to our problem. Our problem is actually lowering rates. And so that people have access to money, and then we become productive, and we are no longer as excessively dependent on importation, and then people can produce things that they can also sell for export. That's the way out of our economic challenge, so not rate raising.
Going by what you have said now, why do you think, what's the actual reason you think they have raised the rates?
No, people are expecting that they are going to raise rates because in the Adam Smith economic theory, all you see is that want to control inflation, then you raise rates of the bank rate, borrowing rate, so that there's too much money in circulation chasing few goods. That is not true about Nigeria. The inflation in Nigeria is sponsored by pressure on foreign exchange because we are an import-dependent economy. So it's not as if people are having so much money and now they want to buy excessive good and there's no good to buy. That is not the situation in Nigeria. The situation in Nigeria is that we are having to pay more for what we import. And therefore, the only way to solve this problem is to encourage production locally. So raising rate is further worsening the crisis for us as a country. And I think we just have people who are economists to really sit down at that table and look at these things very well and understand where is inflation coming from. Is it because there is no food in the market or what it is? Why is the prices of things? Because almost everything is driven. You are importing fuel and the price of fuel has gone up. You have taken away subsidy from electricity. The rate has gone up. All these things will definitely affect the inflation figure for the month of April and May.
Into the second quarter.
Oh, yes. So we must look at this holistically without necessarily looking at textbook theories to address our reality as a country.
Okay. That's like taking us to school, isn't it?
Afresh.
But the sad part is that when you see someone that doesn't know that where they don't have malaria coming to tell you how to treat malaria, that is where we are right now. And we'll keep being there until we stop listening to somebody that say he came from Harvard or Oxford and have a certificate and doesn't know local issues and how to solve local issues, following somebody else's book. It's been on since 1960. Till we look for local solutions for local problems. This will not stop.
Well, this has been said for a long time that many of the things that apply in the West, many of the things that apply in Asia and stuff, doesn't really work for us because we have our peculiar ways.
It's not
everything.
It's not the working.
So why are we not? Why are we
it's
still
not
doing
the working.
textbook?
It's not the working.
Solutions.
Ikenna, let's break it down. This is a market. I am producing this phone. I am producing this particular product. I'm bringing it to your market. You think I will sit back and watch you produce the same thing and compete with me?
Isn't that what the market is about?
That's not that what you think. That is what your book tells you is all about. But that is not what it's all about. The people producing and servicing you will make sure that you keep buying from them. Simple. So it's left for you to use your own head and make sure that you start producing for your own people. Simple.
Yeah, but look at it this way. It's not that the books are not working. Those who wrote those books did a study of their economy. And this is the weakness of our system. That we also have people to need to study our systems and see the peculiarities in our system.
And write our own books.
And write our own theories.
Correct.
So this is where our intellectuality is required, that we are not going just to be relying on what World Bank is saying or what they are not saying, and because we also know that they are all
they are profit-making organizations.
They are part and parcel, very critical stakeholder in the whole system, and therefore we have to look at our system and study it our own way. Yes, there's some sense in some of these suggestions and recommendations, but here, when you put it to this environment, we have to look at the reality. Or they tell you, you take away all subsidies so that I can make more money. In short, I shared a short video with Chooks over the weekend where this congressman was arguing that Africans don't need more debt forgiveness. What Africa need is tax cut. That we are the poorest paid in the world. And then, of course, we are the most heavily taxed in the world. Just to satisfy the appetites of the West, that we are trying to prove to them that, we are able to pay back what we borrow.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
And he said, that's not what Africa needs. We need tax cuts. Where you have a tax, 30% tax, you have to pay VAT on everything you buy. And this take away almost every disposable income that you have. And so say African can build factories, African can build roads. Because we are struggling and working hard to make IMF happy and make World Bank happy. And then make the Western country, who are the greatest stakeholders in those institutions, very happy. So why is African leaders always wanting to prove to the West that we can pay them debt? Why would they come here to come and borrow money from us when we are doing our things well? And I think this is where the managers of our monetary policy need to wake up and look at issues objectively and realistically. You see, I make this assertion that day. Somebody wrote an article in one of the dailies, and it said, look, why the Koyi economists are thinking, what's it called, for the economy of those who are living in Shomolu. It doesn't work. You have to be in Shomolu to understand what the realities are, and then you are able to really think out solution. For they don't think that everybody don't live in Ikoyi. People are living in the outskirts. So this is what is needed, and this is where they need to sit down and not be using Harvard book
Harvard peculiarities.
to think about the economy of Africa.
Someone in Rwanda.
We need from the University of Lagos, LASU, to sit down, send students out to go and look at what are the reality on the ground. We are paying excessively. Take, for example, by removal of subsidy, the cost of electricity was increased 300 times. And you can imagine the shock that will have on every business.
Every single one.
All the meetings I had yesterday, they were all about energy. Somebody who's paying 400 now is paying 1.2. Somebody who's paying 600 is paying 1.6. So these are the kind of things. And now, where is this money going to come from? For business that are already suffering. So which means we close down businesses. So these people must sit down and open their eyes to see what is on the ground.
When you say these people, which people?
Those in the committee, the MPC committee, they must open their eyes to see what is on the ground. And then be able to factor in. They have to interface with manufacturers, interface with small businesses, interface with the common man on the street, even the worker, and see how biting these issues are on them. The petrol is on the one side, now this one is on that side, then you are introducing all manners of taxes on the same people who are actually making no profit. And I don't think that's the way economy should be managed. So we're not saying, oh, because they do it in Australia, or they do it in America, or London is doing it, therefore we must do it here. Because we are not peculiar, we are not the same. Those people have built their infrastructure. They don't have too much of logistic problem. We have here.
A lot of it.
A young guy told me yesterday, traveling from Lagos to Imo State took them 16 hours on the road. That means more fuel. They don't have that problem in England. They don't have that problem in America. So people should understand what the realities are here and how it affects businesses and productivity, so that we wouldn't be making policies that are killing businesses, and then we think that we want to make some certain people happy so that they can borrow us more money. We don't need to borrow money. We just need to work hard and live our life well.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Chooks, I think you have something to add to that.
You know, I like the thank you. The thank you is like the full stop.
Let's do better. Let's know better and do better. So next headline, still on business day. Telcos liquidity squeeze puts network quality at risk. So I think it was the last time we talked about the is it rates now that has been put on telcos, and now they're talking about how it's affecting.
They don't have money because the what do you call
Dollar
it?
fluctuation.
No, but next to banks, they are the ones that are making making a killing.
They suffer a huge loss. We said that last week. They did a loss.
The fluctuation.
The fluctuation made a loss on the telcos.
But people are paying them for data. People are buying.
Yeah, it's not
daily,
just
and it's increasing.
You're looking at it. Take, for example, somebody makes a profit of 108, and then the fluctuation on the Naira take away 118. So they are minus.
Yeah, we talked about that, true.
Yeah, so that is what it is. So they are on the minus. So we're looking at a situation where you are having businesses suffering. In short, the only company that is making gain right now is actually the banks. Every other person that is putting in input, material input into production, actually suffering losses as we speak. Because you have to import some of all these things, and then of course you have to rely on the weak Naira, which is about 1,400 now at the parallel market, 1,450. So that rate is not something that is very convenient for businesses to do well. So these are the real issues. And of course, people have also been advocating that for a very long time, the telcos are not increased tariff for calls and for data. And irrespective of the inflation rates that has continuously risen, and then the exchange rate that has been moving up. So these are other issues that have to be looked at. I don't know how we will survive all this pressure because it's really becoming very hard. And I think this is for me why I keep advocating that governments need to become leaner and leaner. That we don't need to continue to fund and encourage what I call
excesses.
poverty, when government has to take on so many assignments which they are not meant to do. Government should be small so that businesses can thrive. Because if businesses are not thriving, then of course we cannot deal with the issue of poverty.
I like the look on Chuck's John Rogers. Next headline: Nigeria, USA expect April inflation as UK releases unemployment data. What's our relation with this? I don't see the connection.
Well, there is no connection to see here. Inflation is biting hard across. For us here, let's speak for Africa. Let's speak for Africa. It's still the same point that Doctor stated from the very first goal. If we deal with the production issue, if we deal with productivity, once there is food on the table, you're not, and it's easily provided, you really don't bother yourself what the exchange rate is because you are working and you're being paid the value of what you do. So Africa needs to wake up and leave this issue of what the West decides, what the banks decide, or whatever, and face their economy. We can't run away from that. We just can't run away from that.
So that means unemployment is biting across board because
Let's speak for Africa.
Yeah, many think it's a Nigerian, it's an African thing, but we're talking about UK releasing unemployment data, which will affect our relations.
They will speak for themselves.
Yeah, but it's also to look at it whether is this a positive data? They employ more people now, or people losing more jobs.
It has to be the negative.
So it must not necessarily be negative. So when they are releasing data, is to see, how has our economy fared in this period of time. But when you also put it vis-a-vis the trend of inflation, which is global, really, you will see that UK the last time maintained the rate, just like USD. People were thinking, of course, they're going to lower it because inflation was getting better in UK and in the US. But unfortunately, they were also still watching the wind to see if they want to actually pull down the rate vis-a-vis to see how to manage the inflation. So they are also contemplating all these things. And this is what you are seeing here. Inflation is a big problem. And for me, really, and I think we need new economists to
homegrown economics,
to articulate what actually are the indices or indicators that we should be measuring, especially when we deal with the issue of inflation. Because I think a whole lot has changed. Just that the world is evolving and everything is dynamic. I also think these theories also need to be reviewed by the economists to actually look at it philosophically. What are the fundamentals that are actually driving this inflation? And I think from everything that we can see, you see it here, of course, there's imbalance across the globe. This imbalance stems from two basic things: access to raw materials, and then, of course, cheapness of labor. So where labor is cheap, then, of course, cost of production is likely to be the other way around. And as countries are trying to see how to protect their territory, you find that measures are put in place that is also making access difficult, just like we saw in Europe recently, and they're saying, we are going to hide rate because of China. Now, when you do that, yes, of course, you are preventing Chinese product from entering into your market. And it comes into your market, it will still compete better than what you produce locally.
Right.
And what that means is that it's taking more money from the hands of your people and it's empowering them. So the ability to be able to purchase become weak. Disposable income is small. So these are the critical issues that the world must be looking at when we deal with the issues of inflation, that prices are getting higher. So if I'm importing something and then of course I have to pay excess duty, I have to pay government taxes, I have to put everything. Here you see a lot get higher. Even along value chain, we are saying, oh, value added service, if it's going to be properly computed. You see, we just call, for example, in Nigeria 7.5. But when you look at the value chain, you will discover that consumers are actually paying more than 7.5.
For VAT?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Because we look at it along that value chain. If I'm going to buy this phone,
You pay.
I'm going to pay 7.5 a bit.
Yes.
Now, but if the person who's manufacturing it is buying different things across everything, he's paying VAT along the value chain
On each.
on each item that comes in here. Now, by the time you compute it, what makes up this price is plus VAT. And I'm also going to come and pay VAT on the same item.
It's a chain reaction.
You will discover that the VAT is actually not 7.5%.
It's more. It's a lot more.
In real sense of the word.
It's a lot more.
Directly, yes, 7.5. But if you have to compute it along the value chain, you discover that it's more than 7.5. And then,
What if you're buying, a distributor is buying from the manufacturer, he pays 7.5.
you see what I mean?
Then the customer now comes buy from the retailer, he pays 7.5.
That's the point I'm
So
making.
it just keeps.
Yes, it just keep moving. So I pay the wholesaler buy from the manufacturer, pay 7.5. He adds it to the price. He says to the retailer. The retailer take the 7.5, add it to the price. Then I come to buy from the retailer, I pay 7.5. So you see,
On each item.
on that single item alone is actually more than 7.5. So these are things that people must understand, especially when we are thinking in economic terms, that we are looking at it as though it's just 7.5, it's small, but it's not small because it's computed along the value chain, and especially for things that are made locally, it will drive up the prices. And who bear the brunt is the last
Customer,
man
the user.
on the queue.
Sad. But you see, Chooks pointed something out, which is an anomaly. You talked about us needing economists, and Chooks mentioned homegrown ones.
Yeah.
It's been known that we favor outside economists, people that have attended Harvard, people that have gone to Princeton, gone to all the schools, that are oblivious of the things happening here. So each time we employ these people, they're imported from outside.
It's not even Harvard. If it is Harvard, it will be just fine. All the theories that we are studying in our university here, even the local university, they are all written and propounded from the outside.
True. That's a problem.
So this is a problem. I study political science. And I was taught the history and the origin of state, for example,
Whose state to be
from Thomas Hobbes, and then from John Locke.
The state
Yeah,
is
exactly. Whose
it's
state?
written.
Ginger Rock. All these stories were domiciled in Britain. They were all the political activities that were happening around the kingship in England.
To what end?
So how do I study the evolution of power in Benin Kingdom, for example? How the state in Benin was formed? We are not taught that.
The environment of bias.
Yeah. So that was why my history teacher told me in school, and he said in 1963 that they were in class, and this professor, Trevor Roper, was teaching them. And after teaching all the histories of the world, and he said, "Oh, what about the history of Africa?" And he said the professor retorted that all the history of Africa is history of colonization. And outside that is darkness, and darkness cannot be part of history.
Jeez.
So this for me was like a sting. So you mean that Africa did not exist pre-contact with Europe?
Yep.
So everything we are taught, whether it's chemistry, whether it's physics, they are all borrowed theories from the West. And this is where the scholarship is a problem for us as Africans, that we also need to also begin to devise and develop alternative theories that feel from the reality of our ground. And this is the real problem. And the true, genuine African scholars can access international journal if they think outside of these conventional theories, which we read in the books that they have written for us. So this is a problem. I remember one of my fondest lecturer in my undergraduate, he was trying to do a PhD thesis and was having to conceptualize this idea of North and South. And what was he thinking? And he was thinking that when you see this North and South, that is more than a geographical divide. That when you see North, you see power. When you see South, you see economy. And so within the North, there is South. People who have the key to the economy. And then there's also North, and people who have the key to power, which makes a lot of sense. And he was trying to use that an argument to establish the fact that that's why, if you see, for example, during the coups, you see Northern Army stage a coup, they always have a buy-in from Southerners. And those Southerners are not, they are just Southerners by geography, but in terms of their mind, they are actually Northerners. So that collaboration. But I tell you, his professor never agreed, and he never made a PhD.
It's chess, not checkers. Financial Times, Beijing fire starting gun on $140 billion debt sale aimed at boosting economy. So China is selling off its sovereign bonds, raising spending with the aim to stimulate the economy. That sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, we are always happy when we talk about China and Asia.
China and Bangladesh especially.
It gives us hope that yes, Africa can also get there. At least for now, they are dealing with us, not like those that came before them.
Yeah, but it is also to look at it from what the American science was said the other time when they visited China. And so you have a local problem you are not facing.
Whose local problem?
Your Chinese local problem
China.
that they're not facing. That you have local economic problem you are not facing. But all you are doing is that you are hiding to fund your corporations and make them look as if they are heading, whereas they are really not heading. That you need to.
Well, who told the American that the corporations are not?
Yeah, but because they're also watching.
They're watching who exactly?
They're watching everywhere to know what's happening. And what makes a nation.
Class captain.
So see, they are watching and see what is going on everywhere. But the problem here is the fact that now China want to sell their debts.
To themselves.
To themselves, yes, of course. But it's to show to you that there is something that is really not right. So China has a debt they want to sell. And so they are walking around selling their debts to be able to augment. So which means, of course, the book that we are seeing, they may not be what exactly it is. But which is where, of course, the American intervention the other day came and said, be more transparent so that we can see what you are doing.
But at this point, it is their problem and they are finding a solution.
We understand because they are also exporting the problem.
But they are not going around going to print.
No, what I'm saying is that this problem is exported.
When they export, they find solutions to their problem.
Who is buying the debt?
It's left
Who
for
is
Africa.
buying the debt?
No, they are buying most of it.
The billionaires or from the government? Or how does that work?
Well,
because they can't just say
they are selling bonds.
It's bonds. So what you do is that your people can subscribe
because
other neighboring countries can subscribe as long as, of course, the interest is the rate is right, and then of course people feel that money can come in here. So, but you see, as debt instrument, what that means is that you have a problem and a burden, and you're only just postponing the evil day.
Carry over.
They are not the world's most indebted nation.
No, we're not saying about, well, of course, they are starting up. But the real truth of the matter is that all countries in the world are indebted. I agree with you. In short, as a matter of fact, every country is up to the truth.
Not every
country.
Some are busy printing. You know what they are printing.
Netherlands is free of debt.
No.
Norway is free of debt.
Not free. Not completely free. Every country of the world, this is where they are in terms of debt.
We are not indebted.
Nigeria.
No.
Thank you.
Still on The news: inflation anxiety adds to concerns over Biden's economic policies. This is a poll from the Financial Times. Inflation fell slowly but steadily last year. This year is really bad, and many blame Biden's handling of the economy.
Well, campaign is on.
Of course, the election year is.
As I was just going to say,
upon-
is it politics
It's
that's
upon
causing
We,
this?
we don't know. Of course, we see recently that once elections are on the offing, you see a lot of polls coming out, and people are coming with different poll figures and results showing. Yeah, but depending on who your subscribers are and who are actually subscribing to this poll, we'll be able to determine how true and realistic this is. But we also know that it's like a propaganda tool to campaign with, to say, oh, you have messed up the economy and so you don't deserve a second term.
But it was actually the poll was conducted by Michigan Ross. This is one of Financial Times top,
Yeah, but
business
that's what to think.
A lot of the media houses, they are divided. Some are conservative, some
So
are.
Correct.
So it depends on where you are. You are standing in this divide and how objective that you can be. So the most important thing is the fact that is when you're taking samples, for example, it will determine what kind of result you get, where you get the sample from. So if I'm taking sample, a majority of the samples are coming from conservative state, for example, what are you going to expect? So these are the things that, of course, and the nitty-gritty to see how balanced the sample size is and who is saying what and who is contributing what argument. This will determine what the outcome of the poll is going to be like, because like you say in computer, it's garbage in, garbage out.
Sad.
It's election year. We expect more.
Especially when you are either Democrat or Republican.
Oh yeah, that's the expect. It's politics. So we must see those things happen, and then of course the opposition scoop on that information.
Oh yes,
And then
yes,
of course
and blow it up.
used to feather their nest in terms of a campaign. And say we said this man is a disaster, so let's push him out so that something good can come in.
So that-
But I really wonder. I was saying to somebody on Saturday, it will be foolhardy really for people to think that as the world gets older, that economic fortunes are going to get better. I don't subscribe to that. I know that things are really going to get tougher and tougher because as population increases, and then of course there's pressure on the world resources, a whole lot of things will not get right. So we'll not expect that economies are going to get better. No matter what kind of theories we have, what kind of head we have that are making input into this theorization.
Doc, that's scary. Should we start to make plans to move to Jupiter already and start to buy lands?
Well, I don't think it's moving to Jupiter. And I think it's just cutting down on some lifestyle. That there are things that we used to take for granted.
That
we have to find
find
solutions, alternative that
Doc,
are
do you
cheaper.
think that will ever happen?
Oh, it has to happen.
But
It has to happen. I think that's where exactly we were at a certain point in time. You see, when you look at
Early 83.
yes, I take for example, I use my village as an example. Where we used to farm, and when we are going to farm, we say very far inside thick forest. Today, there are living houses in those places.
Yep.
So if I want to even go and do a 10 acre of land in my village now, I can bet you I can never find. It's not possible. So this is the reality. Population, like they say, according to Robin, is geometric. Means of livelihood and survival is subsistent. It's at arithmetic level. So that's what you're going to see. And as we are having, especially this part of the world, where the average population is between 17 and 19 years. So many people are yet to marry and to give children. And those children are going to give other further children.
But
so you can imagine the pressure that's going to be on the world as we move forward. And that's why you see, for example, in places like China, they're already thinking toward that because they are growing vertically. And that's why I cannot understand, for example, in Nigeria, why those who are in the Ministry of Works and Housing, for example, are also not thinking vertical growth.
Please explain vertical growth for us.
See, if you want to buy land in Nigeria today, we are still selling land to individuals.
Shouldn't that be?
60 by 100. Just build one bungalow for one family. That should not happen anymore. Because our land size is not going to increase. And they are saying that our population by 2050 is going to be about 450 million people. Where are they going to stay?
Niger Republic.
So what we should be doing right now is that if you have an acre of land, you build a massive structure.
Like an estate.
Up.
Oh.
It's going up, high rises, where people are going to stay. And then the flats, you have like 300 flats, 500 flats in one building.
I see.
And then the motor parks are down under. So you have a lot of land where people can develop. I think those who are in the land registry should be thinking that rather than be selling C of O to one man to own 60 by 100. Okay. That's not sustainable, really.
Okay. Let's go back to your earlier postulation that the world, as we are growing older, as the world is growing older, it won't get better.
It can't get better.
Okay. What if I disagree?
You can disagree.
I was just going to very much. Point. Now, technology has come a very long way, and technology will make a whole lot of impact and dismantle a whole lot of theories. One, agriculture, you don't need 10 acres of land to farm what you used to farm before anymore. People are planting right now without even the soil.
You see,
we will get there.
Yeah, that is what you are thinking.
It's not what I'm thinking. It's happening.
Let me give you an example.
Let's also get to
how many vertical farms can you really do? There are certain crops,
okay,
that you cannot plant or hydroponically.
Okay. So
the only thing you can plant hydroponically as we speak right now,
okay,
is fruits and vegetables.
Only thing.
Things that you can.
Plant tubers too.
Look at it. Let's not deceive ourselves.
You can plant tubers too.
You can plant tuber without soil. No.
You can plant tubers too.
No.
Bags.
You put them in sack. This sack is going to be located in places now.
You don't need that amount of. For
example, the farmers are speaking.
Yeah. So when you
look at this size.
That percentage.
Look at this size.
You still have more.
Look at the size of place. How many bags can you stack here? That's what we're going to be looking at.
I'll stack 10 levels of bags here.
10 levels of bags. Where will the vines be sprouting and growing from?
You don't even need sunlight again. Technology is going too far.
Are we talking about GMO? Because I don't understand.
Not just GMO. Now, and
except you are manufacturing this food in the factory, and if you are manufacturing them in the factory,
it's unhealthy.
People can't live healthy.
It's Souq is pro GMO.
Let's also look at human beings.
Yeah.
We've always had this attachment to our ground. I don't know if you understand. Now, you give an example of your farmlands are being turned right now to accommodation places where people are living. Now, if we take that direct attachment to our lands away from it, there are a whole lot of barren, unfarmed lands outside our state. And they will remain so till thy kingdom come because those places are unoccupied. People and businesses can start looking at farming in such places.
I don't subscribe. Except that you need to take an area view of Nigeria, for example. Why you are thinking that these positions they are really not there? See, they are really not there. See, apart from the fact that now you still have that Niger State, for example.
Do I need to farm rice in my state? I don't need to farm rice. In fact, Niger State can get all the whole rice we need.
Yeah, but that's what we are thinking.
Good. I don't need to farm beans if Borno can give us all the whole beans we can need. So Borno doesn't need to produce shoe if my own state can give them all the whole shoe they need. So these are ways we should start.
But this is what you are saying. The land size in Borno State, for example, Niger State is about 79,000 square kilometers.
I think it's the largest almost.
It is the largest.
Yeah, Borno is about 29,000 square kilometers thereabout. Now, when you look at this land size, it's still limited in terms of feeding 450 million people. So you compare that with American land size or Canadian land size.
When we get serious, we'll find solutions.
So no. You see, you must know that even those places where technology is used to farm, they have big land, bigger than what you think you have in Africa here. So this is the issue.
Holland is not as big as us. Denmark is not as big as us.
But
they are giving us all they can feed the entire Nigeria with all the cheese and yogurt we need for 10 years.
No.
Yes.
That is from.
My
We still
special
import-
my
we still-
special
we still import from
usually
Mexico
guess
to-
we'll take a break. We'll take a pause here and shut down for the day and float out of here. But as you watch, join us on social media. Watch us on YouTube. Use the hashtag SBL, and we will continue this conversation. Thank you. It's still the Souq Landscape Business Headlines Review. Let's take a pause as we end today. Join us again on Wednesday as we continue this exciting conversation and look at lovely, important headlines. Bye for now.